To Nasdaq Trade Talks, I'm your host Jill Malandrino, global markets reporter at Nasdaq. Joining me at the market site in Times Square, we have Kinahan. He's the Chief Market Strategist over at TD Ameritrade with August retail trader trends known as the Investor Movement Index, or what we call the IMX. JJ, it's great to have you back with me.
Always a pleasure.
As always, and you know what? It's encouraging to see, despite the volatility in August, a slight uptick with investors going back to equities.
Well, I think the biggest story there, Jill, is not only is there a slight uptick in the exposure people are taking to the market, how they're doing it is switched a little. We've seen 3 months in a row of net sellers of equities going more toward fixed income. This month we saw our clients buying equities again, as well as continuing with the safety, I guess, of fixed income. The encouraging thing we've seen about fixed income the last couple of months is it's been very short term, the fixed income they're buying. So people are waiting, as we saw in August, for these opportunities when stocks sell off to purchase them.
All right, now what were some of the net buys there? It's a mixed bag of sectors.
It is a mixed bag of sectors. I think Amazon being one of the ones that's most interesting, going back to what I was just pointing about, down 6.5% early in the month, then down a little bit more, actually 8% by the second week of the month, and people coming in to buy it. We saw Microsoft, again, people continuing to have faith in that story. So those are two of the bigger ones that I think really sort of drove things. And of course, I forgot Disney. Disney being one again, sold off. People come in to buy Disney as the stock sells off.
All right, now if we take a look at the net sells, largely tech, which is not much of a surprise considering some of the U.S.-China trade war rhetoric and that exposure that they do have to China.
No, and you and I have talked about this the last couple of months. Apple still being the #1 held stock at our firm, but third month in a row, our clients are net sellers of Apple, and Apple leading the way almost every single week in terms of that. It just seems whenever Apple's over 205, our clients come out to start taking some profits there. And we saw Facebook being a sell. What's interesting about Facebook was that was largely driven by our millennial clients in terms of that sale overall, and Alphabet also being a third stock that was sold quite a bit.
All right, now speaking of millennials, they are still continuing to acquire the cannabis stocks.
Buy what you know.
There you go.
No, here's what I'll say about it. People are like, how can they continue to do that? And part of it is, I think there's, look at the time frame. As we were taught when we were younger, buy something that you think will be good for the long term. So I think this is a bet that at some point the states will all legalize it. And if you're, 25, 30, 35 years old, you have a long time frame for that investment. I hope it's not your only investment, but you do have a longer time frame where this business can continue to grow, become more mainstream, and be something that does, grow into something. So I understand the logic behind doing that. And as you say, they continue to believe that story is going to grow into something bigger longer term.
All right, let's wrap it up here with your market outlook. We're coming into the end of Q3, Q4, election on the horizon next year. Do you think we'll see some more of that volatility like we saw in August?
It is interesting. We're at the lowest VIX we've seen in over 5 weeks now, with it under 15 as we speak right now. I think the most interesting thing is I just don't see a reason for us to break out of this range that we've been on the S&P, sort of the 2,800 to 3,000. The tariff talk has taken longer than any of us possibly expected, and I really feel it's going to continue to take longer than any of us suspect. We do have the leaders of the U.S. and China meeting here in a few weeks. I find it shocking that they're going to come out and say, it's all done, everything's great. I would say that we continue to be range bound, barring some major unforeseen event for the rest of the year.
Yeah, but that's made for some really good trading. If you're a day or swing trader, it's been fantastic. Even if you're a longer term investor, you have the opportunity. Your 401k, you had a great opportunity to pick up some shares in August.
And I think that's exactly what the IMX is showing, Jill, is that people are being, as I said, I'm glad you said it because it's exactly the story we're seeing play out. Shorter term interest rates, or shorter term products, when markets a little bit higher perhaps, we get sell-offs in individual stocks or in the market overall. Easy to put that money right back into the equities to be opportunistic on what's going on right there.
All right, JJ, as always, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me, Jill.
And thank you for joining me on Trade Talks. I'm Jill Malandrino, global markets reporter at Nasdaq.